team? It's your boy D Neal back with another reaction video, guys. Here we are with NBA legends as players explain how special college Michael Jordan was. I done heard a lot about NBA MJ. I haven't heard too much about college MJ. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell, get a video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. Social media, Patreon, all up top. You can subscribe to any of it. Put all the links in the description. All you gotta do is hit the link, follow me, talk to me. Human. I talk back. You guys got a favorite video suggestion? You can subscribe to Patreon and drop it in the comment section. What we got?
So we've seen NBA legends and players talk about how dominant Michael Jordan was with the Chicago Bulls. I even made a video where they talk about how underrated he was during his Washington Wizards years. So I said to myself, why not go back where he started to blossom, from Michael Jordan to Air Jordan. I compiled some NBA legends that watch or play with them, and I also put some of his college teammates and legendary college coaches to show that he was already a legend in the making. So enjoy the video, man.
His athleticism. He was in Carolina, and they were running, I forget, 100 or 40-yard dash. And he ran some spectacular number. And the late Dean Smith, who was a really good friend of mine, and also Roy Williams, who just retired at North Carolina, we were all close. And they were talking about him, I think it was running 100 or something like that. He ran at some spectacular time.
Wow.
And one of the coaches said something to him differently. And he said, oh, I can do better than that.
Wow.
He went out at 0.2 of a second faster.
Wow.
And like vertical jump means a lot, but it means a lot to the ones who have skill.
Right.
Some guys jump quickly. Some guys have to wind up.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan was like
a cat.
Well, I remember recruiting Michael Jordan.
God damn. Rainer, he said, Coach shocked out of his mind, see MJ run that 100 like, my clock messed up. MJ, oh, I can do better than that.
Michael
That's
Jordan
crazy.
was like
A cat.
Well, I remember recruiting Michael Jordan. I remember him coming in on a weekend, the football weekend, and I was down in my room at the end of the hall, and the elevator doors open up. And all I could hear was this big mouth. And it was Michael Jordan. And he was like, yeah, this is gonna be my hall. I'm taking over this dorm. And I was like, he's still in high school. You know, he's still in high school. And I was like, who is this guy? And I never thought he was arrogant, but he was full of confidence. And I was better than Michael Jordan for about 3 weeks. First 3 weeks of practice. And I saw some things in him, Twan, that I mean, he dunked on Sam Perkins and I one time, and I still don't know how he did it. But I saw him in the raw. And most of us were kind of in the raw when we came to Coach Smith. And he either slowed you down or he either enhanced your game throughout his theory. But Michael was an incredible freshman. And, you know, one of the rare moments that he was able to start, Phil Ford, myself, and Michael, I think, was the third freshman to ever start. So he was a competitor. I mean, the guy didn't like to lose in anything. You could play him in a game of backgammon, a game of cards, and he would be emotionally upset if he lost.
That's not, is that the 3-point line? Like, it looked like the free throw area, you know, that circle that come out is higher than the 3-point line.
Backgammon, a game of cards, and he would be emotionally upset if he lost. And so I knew he was going to be an all-star, but I didn't know he was going to be possibly best player I've ever played. Never.
Game in Chapel Hill at a place called
cool,
Woolen.
though. He said I was better than him for all about 3 weeks. I love, hey, elevator open, MJ. This is gonna be my hall. This just came out. He just let you know from the jump. MJ was full of confidence. He knew how great he was, but still pushed to become even greater than he thought he was.
Best player I've ever played. Never.
Game in Chapel Hill at a place called Woolen Gym, and we were the number 1 ranked recruiting class, and we went over to Chapel Hill to play, and after playing against Jordan and those guys, we were kind of looking at ourselves going, I don't know if this is gonna this might not have been a good decision, and then like people would say, hey, did you know in college that Jordan was going to be great? Like, yeah, we did. We knew, when you played against him and Len Bias and Ralph Sampson, you're kind of going, all right, whoever said all men are created equal, that's BS. Like, that's just not true.
The kid is just an absolutely great kid. If I were going to pick the 3 or 4 best athletes I've ever seen play basketball, he'd be one of them. I think he's the best athlete I've ever seen play basketball, bar none. If I were going to pick people with the best ability I'd ever seen play the game, he'd be one of them. If I were going to pick the best competitors that I'd ever seen play, he'd be one of them. So in the categories of competitiveness, ability, skill, and then athletic ability, he's the best athlete, he's one of the best competitors, he's one of the most skilled players. And that, to me, makes him the best basketball player that I've ever seen play.
Do you recall the first time you played with Michael Jordan when he arrived on campus?
Yeah, it was in practice. We always had, during the summers, and went to summer school, and we had pickup games, and everybody comes back. The classes before, Phil Ford, Dudley, all these guys came back, and Michael came that summer as well. And playing in those games, we saw a little glimpse of him, but he wasn't what he is now. You know, he wasn't majestical at that time, but playing in practice, we had a guy by the name, I don't know if you remember, Curtis Hunter. Mm-hmm. And he came before Michael, and they played the same position. But long story short, Curtis thought he was Michael Jordan at the time. But when Michael came there, it became a battle, and Curtis couldn't hang with him, let's say. So we thought we had a nice player in Curtis, but Michael just took head and shoulders over him.
How much better did he?
Curtis thought he was the guy. He thought he was the top guy. He was out to prove something, but it's Mike. It's MJ. MJ like, nah, bro, like, it's me. I'm at the top of the hill, and ain't no one knocking me off. My guy try to keep up, and Curtis couldn't keep up. Couldn't do it.
But Michael just took head and shoulders over him.
How much better did he make you, both in the play on the court and what he was telling you off the court?
Well, I think, you know, a college player from now to where he is going in the Hall of Fame is a different person. But I think the one thing that you look at with his career, the things that he came into the league as his weaknesses were actually his strengths when he left. His ball handling, his outside shooting was strengths. So that just showed the testimony of how much he worked and how hard he worked during the off seasons and when he used to come back to Carolina and play pickup with us. In all of those years, I think his enthusiasm and love of the game, and you can even see it in the interview, his reluctancy to accept greatness, but to be great is what makes him Michael Jordan. And is probably, if not the, getting smacked in the head. There it is last weekend. There it is, baby. There it is.
To be talking about how great he is and everything, and then have MJ come up behind you. Bro, that's so cool. That's so dope, man. Shout out MJ, bro.
There it is last weekend. There it is, baby. There it is.
Him as a freshman, we played pickup games. I'd hit him with an elbow, and I'd bang him, and I could see some of the timidness in it. But, boy, by the time he got to be a sophomore, I can remember playing against him, and he hit me one time. I elbowed him in the chest, and he turned around and elbowed me right back in the chest and said, "I'm not scared of you anymore."
I did the running program before the season started. He says, "I want to be the best player." And I said, "Well, then you have to work harder than you did in high school." And he said, "Well, I worked as hard as everybody else." I said, "I thought you just told me you wanted to be the best player."
Michael got better and better every year. Every practice, every game, he grew with confidence, and you just saw it coming, and it was just a matter of time.
Every day in practice, when Coach Smith was talking, every player looked at Coach because of the respect, and they knew what they could get from him. But Michael looked right down into Coach Smith's soul.
But I do believe that Michael Jordan has something in his heart or something in his engine that very few athletes in history have.
The guy's got to win. That's it. He has to win, and I always credit that to being the youngest of 3 boys. And his dad would sit there and say, "All right, hey, you know, so what, Michael? You get picked on. Take care of yourself."
I'm sure part of it was that he got cut by his team and didn't like it. I'm sure part of it was stoked by Coach Smith. You know, Coach Smith can stoke your fire, and you know, you'll either respond or you won't.
And so I really think all of that competitive nature comes from Coach Smith and the way
kind of psychologically got us to go at each other as well as the other team and keep us so sharp. So all of those things that I hear Michael say that he does, I'm like, yeah, you got that from Coach Smith. You didn't think of these things. You weren't that competitive. You were just like everyone else. But Coach Smith kind of put the seed in for him.
Here's Braddock, three-pointer. No doubt about it. I feel like, yeah. If you have the right coach, they can teach you so many things, and they can help you so much develop your game. Like, just being placed with that right coach is just humongous. It's humongous. And I feel like it's not talked about enough, just having the right coach to help you develop into a better player. And we all knew Mike probably would have been Mike no matter what. But having people along the way to help you become better, that's always amazing. But his competitive spirit, his competitive fire probably would have always been
everyone else. But Coach Smith kind of put the seed in for him.
Here's Braddock, three-pointer. No good. Tapped in by Jordan. 63-62.
It was our sophomore year against Virginia. We were down 18 at halftime, I believe. We came back, and he made an unbelievable play on Rick Carlisle.
Jordan threw it. There goes Jordan for the dunk. Oh,
Yeah! And then a couple plays later, Virginia takes a shot, and he goes up over Ralph Sampson, grabs the rebound. And he just made big play after big play.
I remember one game where he went down the middle and dunked it after there'd been a little altercation between Ben Coleman and Matt Doherty. And a few minutes later, Michael's got the ball under his arm. We're in the four corners, and Herman Veal was supposed to be guarding him. Adrian Branch says, "Herman, go get him." And Herman said, "You want his blankety blank, you go get him."
I had really seen most of the things that this guy could do. 360s, cradling, rocking, but I had never seen that.
And in the locker room, he asked me, he said, I didn't want to watch what Michael did. He said, "What did he do?" And I said, "Coach, I can't describe it."
I kept hearing about it, so I did see it on the tape the next day, and it was sensational, and certainly it showed his ability, and I hope that Maryland didn't think it was too showy. I didn't. I kind of like seeing it.
The first thing Coach Smith said was, one of the things was, "Well, I'm glad you made it." And the second thing he said was, "Do you know Kenny was ahead of you? Why didn't you pass it to him?" So that was the first two things that Coach said to him. The true Coach Smith fashion.
I said they'll remember it when we play them the next time, but then you'll just have to do it better.
Instead of his shooting.
Bro, I love that, bro. I love it. I love it because you've heard so much about NBA Michael Jordan and how amazing and great he was. It's real cool to hear all these college stories about him, too.
You play him the next time, but then you'll just have to do it better.
Instead of his shooting and his offensive, I was more impressed with his defensive ability.
Give me that.
Because when he said, "You know what? I have this whole side of the floor covered," he had the whole side of the floor covered. He was an exceptional shot blocker from the weak side in college, where guys would have layups or beat someone to the basket, and he would come help side defense. And guys have wide open layups, and you think they're layups or dunks, and he comes over and he would just, block shots. And early in especially in college, he used to block dunks. So I had never really seen guys go after other guys' dunks and be able to catch them in midair and choke the ball down.
He could guard a point guard, a two guard, a small forward, some power.
This scene look exactly like the Glory Road movie, bro. Glory Road movie. This scene look exactly. They might have got that scene from watching MJ college.
The ball down.
He could guard a point guard, a two guard, a small forward, some power forwards if he had to. Michael was the best defensive player in the country, without question.
Would Michael become a great player if he'd gone somewhere else? Yeah, he would have. Would he have maybe done all the things that he's done? Maybe not, because I think Coach Smith has proven that he's helped players become great players. Not only just make it in the NBA, but great NBA players. And you look at the players' comments, they all give Coach Smith a lot of credit.
The greatest thing that Michael Jordan said about Dean Smith, he says that Coach Smith gave him the fundamentals to build a foundation that allowed him to expand and do so many other things with his game. And that's what Coach Smith did. Coach Smith wouldn't accept mediocre or sloppiness from anyone, but he pushed Michael, I think, harder than any player who ever played here.
So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and you can already tell that Michael Jordan stood out from the crowd. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, show love to the YG gang, and I'm out.
Mike was definitely built different, man. That's all we got for this one. You guys got a favorite video suggestion, you can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel, ring notification bell, give the video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. Social media, Patreon, all up top. You want to subscribe to any of it, put all the links in the description. All you gotta do is hit the link, follow me, talk to me. Love talking to you guys. You guys are the most incredible team on YouTube. It's your boy Neal. Out.